Ever find yourself tangled in worries or obsessions, replaying events in your head until you're exhausted? Our modern world, filled with non-stop demands and shiny new distractions, makes it all too easy to cling, whether to relationships, outcomes, possessions, or images of who we think we should be. Yet centuries ago, spiritual teachers like Gautama Buddha emphasized that freedom comes not from getting more, but from letting go. This is the essence of detachment, a concept often misunderstood. It's not about indifference or coldness. It's about easing the mental chains that keep us trapped in anxiety, resentment, or longing. In this script, we'll explore how genuine detachment leads to mental clarity, emotional balance, and a deeper sense of authenticity, why we cling and how it creates suffering. At first glance, holding tightly to what we love or want seems natural. You might cling to a cherished relationship, a goal you've nurtured, or an idealized version of yourself. Yet trouble arises the moment life inevitably changes. A partner grows distant, a dream stalls, or a job ends. And we're left in turmoil. According to Buddhist thought, this pain springs from attachment, our tendency to see external conditions as the pillars of our happiness or identity. Think about the last time you felt real heartbreak or devastation. Often, the intensity wasn't just about losing something, it was about the meaning you assigned it. If a particular job became central to your self-worth, losing it felt catastrophic. If a relationship symbolized your hopes, any threat to it felt like a threat to your core. Clinging magnifies suffering because it refuses to honor impermanence. Everything in life evolves, decays, or transforms over time. When we forget that fact, reality inevitably rips away our illusions, triggering despair or anger. Ironically, the very act of clinging often leads to more turmoil, like gripping a bar of soap too tightly, causing it to slip away. Whether it's longing for the past or fretting about the future, excessive attachment keeps our minds locked in worry, tension, or regret. Buddha noticed this repetitive cycle in human behavior and suggested a path of non-attachment to break the chain of suffering. Buddha's view on non-attachment: anicca and anatta. Central to Buddha's teachings are two interconnected principles: anicca, impermanence, and anatta, no self. Anicca states that everything, material objects, emotions, relationships, even entire civilizations, shifts over time. What's shiny and new today becomes old and worn tomorrow. Anatta underscores that our idea of a permanent, unchanging self is misleading. We're a fluid mix of experiences, thoughts, and bodily changes, not a static entity. When you see the world through these lenses, clinging appears less tenable. For instance, if you view your career success as your core identity, you ignore the fluid nature of work roles and personal evolution. By contrast, acknowledging impermanence and the changing self can reduce the desperation to hold on. You still experience love, ambition, and excitement, but you do so with the understanding that these states evolve. Non-attachment doesn't mean you can't enjoy life. Rather, it means engaging wholeheartedly without the frantic need to lock anything in place. A job can be satisfying, but if it ends, you adapt. A relationship can be deeply valued, but if it shifts, you recenter and move forward. This perspective fosters agility. You're present and committed, yet you won't collapse when change inevitably arrives. Buddha himself lived this principle, calmly accepting transitions while remaining compassionate toward himself and others. Common misconceptions about detachment. Many confuse detachment with indifference or emotional numbness. They fear becoming a stone-cold person who doesn't care about loved ones or ambitions. However, Buddhist detachment, sometimes termed non-attachment, is not about shutting down your capacity for feeling. Instead, it's a practice of respecting the flow of life rather than desperately clinging to fixed states or outcomes. Picture a musician deeply engrossed in playing a piece. They're fully committed to each note, yet they're not devastated if the performance must end. They don't try to hold that moment forever. They appreciate it as it is. Non-attachment works similarly. You invest your passion in what you do, but you don't tie your identity or long-term well-being to the fate of that endeavor. Another misconception is that detachment hinders responsibility. On the contrary, healthy detachment can enhance accountability by freeing you to act from clarity instead of fear or compulsion. For example, if you're not entangled in ego battles at work, you can focus on solutions that benefit the team, not your self-image. Detachment liberates resources for empathy, strategic thinking, and genuine care. The emotional freedom detachment offers. When you let go of the need for permanence, your mind gradually relaxes. Imagine how often you've wasted energy ruminating over what you might lose, or lamenting what you once had. Detachment doesn't erase sadness or frustration entirely, but it dulls their intensity by reminding you that change is the norm, not a betrayal of some cosmic script. This emotional freedom creates space for more authentic living. Suppose you're traveling with friends. Instead of obsessing over capturing the perfect photo to preserve the moment forever, you engage wholeheartedly, trusting the memory will evolve naturally. Or think about a creative project. Non-attachment lets you pour creativity into it without the crippling anxiety of, will people love this forever? You're free to enjoy the process and share it, unconcerned with universal approval or indefinite success. Moreover, detachment aids in conflict resolution. When your identity isn't hooked onto winning or proving you're right, you can approach disagreements with genuine curiosity and compromise. This shift from insecure reactivity to calm self-assuredness fosters relationships based on respect and mutual growth rather than power struggles. Buddha saw this transformation as key. Emotional bondage lessens. Compassion grows. Practical steps to cultivate detachment. While Buddha's teachings on non-attachment run deep, there are straightforward ways to apply them in your hectic life. One starting point is mindful meditation, dedicating a few minutes daily to observing your breath or bodily sensations. Each time you catch your mind drifting into longing or aversion, gently bring it back, reinforcing the notion that thoughts and feelings come and go. Another useful method is labeling emotions. When anxiety or anger arises, simply note anxiety or anger, rather than letting it consume you. Likewise, picking one minor attachment, like a surplus possession or a stubborn routine, and consciously letting it go can illustrate how easily you can adapt once you decide to release. Reflecting on impermanence helps too. Recall how past circumstances you once thought permanent have shifted, reminding yourself that all conditions evolve. Finally, approach both yourself and others with compassion, understanding that everyone struggles with clinging. By merging these practices, meditation, emotional awareness, small acts of letting go, reminders of change and kindness, you gradually loosen the grip of attachment. The benefits don't appear overnight, but each moment of intentional detachment nurtures mental clarity and resilience, allowing you to move through life's ups and downs with greater poise. Detachment and boundaries. Being true to yourself. Detachment doesn't mean letting others walk over you. It actually supports clear boundaries, because you're not entangled in the fear of losing approval or belonging. When you're detached, you can say no or voice concerns without guilt or anger, overshadowing your communication. Sometimes people conflate caring with clinging, thinking if they're not heavily invested in outcomes, they're irresponsible or unloving. Yet real love or responsibility flourishes when it's free from incessant worry. For example, if you care deeply for a friend grappling with addiction, detachment helps you offer support without trying to micromanage their every choice. It respects their journey while shielding your emotional well-being. In relationships, non-attachment also means respecting individuality. If a partner wants to explore new interests, you don't stifle them out of fear. This approach fosters mutual growth rather than resentment. By valuing each person's evolving path, you maintain a healthier dynamic. Boundaries become natural expressions of self-respect, not defensive walls. Thus, detachment nurtures relationships where honesty and personal evolution take precedence over clinging to static roles or illusions. Making detachment. a way of life. Deepening detachment involves weaving mindful awareness into every corner of daily life, not just in occasional meditation sessions. You might schedule small awareness breaks throughout the day, pausing to observe if you're gripping an expectation or resisting a situation. Ask yourself, am I clinging here? What would letting go look like? Over time, these inquiries become second nature, reminding you to loosen your mental clutch. Simultaneously, cultivate trust in the unfolding of life. This doesn't imply passivity. You still act on responsibilities, but you no longer attach your self-worth to rigid outcomes or timelines. If you're building a business or raising children, you plan diligently, yet remain open to the reality that plans may shift. This mindset fosters resilience, because when a strategy fails or a child chooses a different path, you adapt without losing your balance. Engaging in community or Sangha support also enriches this journey. People who share Buddhist-inspired values can offer mutual encouragement, compare experiences, and keep each other accountable for mindful living. Detachment grows in an environment that respects introspection, acceptance, and compassion. Ultimately, you discover that letting go isn't about losing. It's about discovering your innate capacity to greet life with openness, resourcefulness, and an unfettered heart. Learning the power of detachment is an ongoing adventure, one that transforms how you work, love, and navigate life's flux. By embracing Buddha's core insights on impermanence and mindful release, you'll find new depth in relationships, more clarity in decisions, and less anxiety when outcomes shift. Which of these ideas resonates most with you right now? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. And if this exploration has sparked insights, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Monk Mindset, for further guidance on living with ease, integrity, and emotional freedom. May your journey reveal the calm at your core.